honor and a privilege to really talk to you about this topic of debt. But before I do so, when I was on my way here, I noticed something. There were many businesses along the way. And those businesses had one particular category that they were interested in. They were lending money. Almost every 50 meters, you can actually easily find a money lender, both on the left and on the right. It's one of the fastest growing industries in Uganda, I'm told. Now, how did I get here? How did I get here? Two-pronged approach, really. One, my own story of debt. I was in debt. I ran a business. By the way, person, I'm a businessman, yeah. Usually I describe myself as a dad who is a businessman. So, not a businessman who is a dad. Yeah, those two in that order. So I had a debt of about $2.5 million, and then I had 1.4 billion shillings. Yeah, long story short, they were separate, and a couple of others. Then, you know, I got sued. Yeah. I became a familiar face in the commercial court in Uganda. But here I am. Now, yeah, God is good. So I also have studied and done business. So I went out to help businesses perform better. And as I sought to help them perform better, I found that you'd find some numbers are not adding up. And you'd ask, what's the real problem? This business should be thriving. And then when you double click on that, you'd find that, say the wife, most of the businesses in Uganda are really family run. So the wife will tell you, you know, there's something I didn't tell you. So you say, what? We have debt. So the first set of numbers I would get would be so nice that I wouldn't know there's debt. They say, but why are you struggling? Then I discovered there was debt. So I dived into debt. Then as I dove into debt, I found out the main culprits in debt were men. So I said, okay, if I don't deal with the men, then we shall not deal with. So I normally teach about three things: business, men, and debt. So the typical Ugandan, for every 1,000 shillings they earn, they spend 1,700. Yes. Every 1,000 you earn, you spend 1,700. If I asked, how many of you are in debt? This is church, but we may have an altar call later. Because I don't want to tempt you to lie. Early morning, moreover. Get it? Yeah, maybe you repented last night and then I start you off on a wrong note. But that is how we are. If I may start, I'll start this way and say, you know, debt is a very serious thing. Just because your heart is open to give doesn't mean that you will give. Many times a pastor will preach and you'll be touched, and then something else touched your pocket before the pastor touched your heart and took away the money. Now, debt is not proof of wisdom. It is proof of exposure. Just because you got debt, it doesn't mean that you're wise. Yeah. It just means you are exposed to that. And what we mean here, that debt creates obligations before results are guaranteed. Just because you got debt doesn't mean that you're so wise. When we talk about debt, we talk about those who survived. So I have had people say, oh, I bought 3 plots of land using debt. You first calm down. First calm down. Just because you bought 3 plots of land using debt, we have just not taken census of those who died using debt. So we never take count of those who died. But I see many of you are old enough. Why is it that a typical Kampala businessman will die? Right? Name anyone. They'll die, and then 3 months later or 6 months later, the properties are actually advertised. 6 months later, they are sold. Yeah. Are you wiser than them? Now, those who have even bigger money are losing it. What's the common denominator? The common denominator is what? Debt. But debt also reduces your margin of error. You will get it wrong. You will miss it. And when you miss it, what will happen? You're eating your profit in advance. You're predicting a future that is very uncertain right now. Why are you messing and reducing your margin of error? There are many businesses actually that can survive without debt. But when a business doesn't have debt, it easily recovers should it undergo certain shocks. If a marriage, let me now talk about marriage. If a marriage is without debt, it easily recovers should there be shocks. But if you already have debt and then there's a shock that comes in, that marriage may not easily recover. A person without debt can have a bad month and adjust. A business without debt can easily adjust should something happen. And this is what exactly we are saying, that you will have uncertainty. To have certainty is really to gamble. But how would you deal when the uncertain comes? There's a gentleman called Marshall Goldsmith. He says, what you need to budget for the uncertainty that is certain to come. So that uncertainty is surely certain to come our way. What would you do if you lost your job? I also say here that actually make you rich on paper, but poor in cash flow. Why? Someone else takes your cash before it flows. Okay? So when you categorize these expenses, the lender has a right to take the money before you do. Negative cash flows are the leading cause of debt. If the cash doesn't flow, then you'll have debt inevitably. So when you add up your liabilities or your expenses this side and then your income this side, and if the out is more than the in, you will be in debt. Now, my goal is not to condemn you. My goal is to show you that what you're doing is not sustainable. Debt changes also your psychology. And your psychology, debt brings fear. You see, you think you don't fear until they come to your office and ask, who is Jen? Then you're like, oh, tell him I'm not around. Yes. Now, hey, wait. Debt brings pressure. But when you have debt, you suffer from short-term thinking. Yes, you cannot think about a future 3 years, 5 years from now when you're in debt. Because you're thinking, Monday, what do I do? Tuesday, I told the person to come call me on Tuesday. What am I going to do on Tuesday? For heaven's sake, today is Monday. But debt also brings dishonesty. You think you can't forge a receipt, right? You think you can't sleep with a Haji until you are in debt. The very thing you thought you'd never do, that your mother would be embarrassed to hear about, debt will cause you to actually do that very thing. And as I wrap up, I want to end with 4 pointers. 1, okay, there is something that is called shame. Shame comes upon you when you have done something wrong. I have done something wrong. Okay? Guilt. Guilt also comes upon you when your conscience tells you that which you did was wrong. There's a 4th angle, humiliation. Humiliation is when someone drags your name in public and says, you've done X, Y, Z. The fourth affect is embarrassment. Embarrassment is temporary, but we all know it. It's like when you come from the loo and you haven't zipped up, you're embarrassed, But you're embarrassed. Now, debt exposes you to these four at the same time. Yes. Debt will expose you to shame. Debt will expose you to guilt. Because you'll be like, why did I lie? Why did I forge the receipt? Why did I do all the things? But debt will cause you humiliation. Whoever has seen their property be advertised in the papers has been humiliated. You just testify about the goodness of the Lord, and then the next day there is a foreclosure on your house. That's humiliation. The business that you've grown for 30 years finally is put up for sale. That's humiliation. Embarrassment. It's very embarrassing to issue a check and there is more check than the money. You get it? And it bounces. In fact, at my best or at my worst, they had counted, there were about 98 checks that had bounced. Yeah, you need Jesus. You need him. You see, we talk about debt. We are not just wanting to discourage your ability to be successful. Make sure that your desire can be tamed. You know why the fruit of the Holy Spirit, self-control, is the last one? Because it is harder. And your ability to get debt, like I said, is not a sign of wisdom, but it's a sign of lack of self-control. You will succeed, but you will succeed with time. Time is your friend. Give it time. Everything worthwhile actually takes time. Amen.
If you are joining us now, welcome to the Money Matters Forum. My name is Rowena again. I will be your host, and today we are welcoming Grace Munyirwa, a father, a businessman who has 20 years of experience, from what I hear, in debt, but in managing businesses and talking about it. So this segment is where kingdom meets real life financial management. So you're welcome. Grace, as you were speaking, I feel like it was personal when you talked about pledging for weddings. It wasn't fair, that thing that you said. So as you were speaking, of course I was going through my phone. I'm a good student. I was writing what has, caught my attention and what has touched my heart and what I'm going to take away. And my takeaway is that I will not be pledging for weddings going forward. I will give if I have money, but also I will give if I've budgeted for money. Before you came, we had a kingdom financial series where we talked about saving, investing, and planning, and very good things. And we had not stopped to ask what could be eating that seed. So what you've shared today is very important. So my first question on behalf of everybody else here is, if I'm already in debt, I'm a Christian, I'm sitting here, and I'm already in debt, what would my immediate steps to get out of debt be, in your opinion?
There's a gentleman called Dave Ramsey, and he talks about debt. He says, when you're in a pit, the first thing is stop digging. Okay. So, number one, stop digging. Don't borrow again. At least first stay where you are. First stay where you are. I pointed out earlier that negative cash flow will lead you into debt. It's the trigger for debt. Number two, so increase your income. Okay, you need to find a way to increase your income. You can't just chill and be on TikTok the whole night, right? You need to be thinking of how to make money. You see, maybe I could sneak in this one, that when you are on TikTok, you're using your left-hand side of the brain. And it's not useful, it's useless. Now, the right-hand side is one that deals with bigger things of life, the bigger questions. You see, when Queen Sheba went to see Solomon, it says she asked him questions. And that engages the right-hand side of the brain where bigger issues of life are dealt with. So ask yourself, how can I double my income? How can I be debt-free? How can I be generous? Leave it with a pregnant question. A pregnant question is one that doesn't have easy answers and also cannot be ChatGPT, neither can it be Googleable. It is something that just remains there and cannot easily be answered. Yeah. Now, stop digging, increase income. The third one is a hard one, but I'll say it anyway. Give away some money.
Wanji?
Give away some money. There is a principle in there that you sow what you need. If you need money, you're going to give away money. If you do not sow money, you will not get money. As simple as that.
Wow. You sow what you need.
Yeah. In fact, it's been studied that the people who have problematic marriages are the ones actually who should help other people, and their marriage actually gets better.
Wow. Oh wow, that's powerful. But that's powerful. But then it begs another question. A very common thing that we hear in Uganda is, you have to go big to get big. Like you said, you sow, you reap. So if I invest a lot of money, I get a lot of money. And the tendency is go to the bank, get a loan, because you can't afford this capital. You can't build a building, it's sold. So the illusion or the lie is that I am borrowing so that I can invest. I am borrowing so that I get money. In that case, am I sowing debt, therefore I'll reap more debt? Or is it a case that, okay, I borrowed for a good reason, I'm a Christian. Pastor Alex said we have to invest, didn't he? Yeah, so I'm going to borrow, assuming that's how I understood the word, and invest. In that case, what from a sowing and reaping principle, should I expect that I'll just get into more debt as a harvest, or should I expect that my business will actually grow, meaning that debt could be managed?
There are two things I think you're marrying together. One, you can start a business, but think big, start small. Okay. The problem is you are not even thinking.
Hey.
Okay?
The left brain is working.
Now, when you think big, it will make you start small. Okay. Number one. Number two, don't worry about becoming big. I'll quote a gentleman who said, our goal is not to become bigger. Okay. That was Kathy, I forget the other name. But he said, if we become better, okay, our customers will demand that we become bigger. So, become better at doing one thing very well. Then people will come. Number one. Number two, so your thinking is ahead. You're not mature enough to handle what will come as a big blessing yet. So start small. To come to your question, when you go to the bank and borrow that money, there is foolishness that is bound up in the heart of the child that needs to be caned out. So you're starting the business without your money. So the bank actually owns the business.
Wow.
In a sense, that shows you that you're not yet mature enough. Maturity is in the saving. Maturity is in delayed gratification. Maturity is being able to say no to the shoes that are beckoning on you. Maturity is saying no to the wig that you want to buy. Yeah. So maturity is having to save, and when you save that money, then the blessing will be that you'll be able to actually suffer and then be able to run a good business. Suffering is necessary. Yeah. You cannot get to where you want to go without suffering. Yeah. There is a fruit called the Long suffering. We don't talk about it.
Suffering.
But it is suffering which is long. Yeah. So, this is the issue, that you have to then use your money. You have to have proof of concept using your money. Should things go south, it is your money that is at risk.
Yeah.
But you're using someone else's money and putting everything at risk. Number 3, there is a way when you borrow, you don't feel you're spending your money. You feel you're spending someone else's money. And so there's a level of recklessness that comes in with debt. My wife jokingly said that perhaps debt is cursed money. Okay? Because she was like, there is hardly anything that you can do useful with debt. There is a way, if you have 100 million and you borrowed it, buying a car of 25 doesn't feel painful. Yeah. Even finding Rowena out there and giving her 3 doesn't feel painful.
Why not?
But when you have suffered for it, there's a way you say, Rowena, God bless you. Have a good Sunday.
And that's good stewardship.
That's good stewardship. Yes.
So getting into debt is us just being poor stewards, in summary.
True. It is a sign of immaturity. Yeah. Wisdom is measured in how long you think. Okay? So this is the thing. If you think about solving today's problem or this week's problem, you're not wise. Period.
So if I think about transport from here to my home,
you're not wise.
I should have thought about it longer before.
Maxwell says that leaders know more and they know before.
Wow.
So you should have known today that you came to church and you need to go back. But you should have also known it before, because today didn't surprise you.
That's true.